Into the awards portion of tonight's ceremony, I would like to introduce Dr. Brian Bates. He is the head of the Department of Anthropology at Longwood University and is also on the Board of Trustees of the Virginia Museum of Natural History. He will be presenting the Thomas Jefferson Medal for Outstanding Contributions to Natural Sciences. Brian?
Thank you, John. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be presenting this evening to Dr. Helen Roundtree. I'd like to share with you just a little bit about Helen's career. Helen has a doctorate in anthropology from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. From 1968 to 1999, she served at Old Dominion University, rising up through the ranks from the role of instructor through full professor, retiring in 1999 as an emeritus professor of anthropology. Helen is widely considered the leading writer and researcher on Virginia Indians and one of the leading researchers of East Coast tribes. And looking at her CV, it is remarkable. She has authored or co-authored more than 21 books or chapters in books, and currently has no fewer than 6 manuscripts in progress. That's unbelievable. Helen has self-funded her research through her own savings, again unbelievable, giving her the latitude to pursue her research year-round, each and every year. She is a past president of the American Society of Ethnohistory. Helen has aided in the successful state recognition cases of the Chickahominy tribe, Chickahominy Indians, Eastern Division, the United Rappahannock tribe, the Upper Mattaponi tribe, and the Nanseman tribe. She's also involved in ongoing federal recognition cases for these same tribal entities. Helen's well-admired sensitivity to her research subjects over the years has won her the trust, gratitude, and appreciation of those she studies. Nothing could produce greater evidence of this than her honorary memberships in the Upper Mattaponi tribe, and also being an honorary member and acting recording secretary of the Nanseman tribe. Some years ago, Walt Disney Studios enlisted the services of Helen to ensure historical accuracy when it made its widely popular animated film Pocahontas. As many film studios do, they disregarded much of the expertise that Helen brought to the table. Helen quickly discovered that historical facts are often put aside when embellishments and fallacies make a more entertaining movie. Depicting Pocahontas as, quote, a buckskin Barbie, the 1995 film depicted an inaccurate portrayal of the real Pocahontas. As a well-accomplished author, Helen is known for her determination to present a fair and complete picture of Indian culture. Not content to let the Disney movie go unchallenged, Helen went to great lengths to set the record straight after the film's release, noting that Pocahontas was in fact a short, bald, and naked 11-year-old laborer. In 1995, Helen was the winner of the Outstanding Faculty Award from the State Council on Higher Education of Virginia. That award comes with a cash prize. Helen used that money not to go on vacation, not to expand her home or do anything else like that or buy a new car. Rather, she used that money to privately publish a children's book on Pocahontas to directly refute Disney's cartoon. She cares that much about getting it right. For her steadfast dedication to honest, thoughtful, scholarly research of the First Order, and for her enduring commitment to the Indian tribes of Virginia, it is my distinct honor to present the Thomas Jefferson Award for Outstanding Contributions to Natural Science to Dr. Helen C. Roundtree.
Twisted my arm into meeting with the people. They had already, at the time they tried to consult me, decided what the script was going to be and how they were going to present it. But then I already knew by that time that filmmakers live on a different planet from me. I actually think they're a different species, but I'm too polite to say so. One of the advantages of the specialty I took with Indians in Virginia is I'm sure that the biologists here are going to have been through this too. Nobody quite knows whether they were a part of the Southeast or the Northeast. Neither does the Weather Channel, frankly. We're either included in both or we are excluded from both, and we fall between two stools. In the case of the Indian studies, though, I was lucky. I simply said, I am both, and got included in a good many more things. And that put me in touch with more people. Very, very useful. One of the things my doctoral advisor told me, and by the way, my doctoral advisor, I didn't go to Madison, I went to Milwaukee, because there I could work with somebody who had worked with the Winnebago Indians since the year I was born. She is still working with them. I already knew that the Powhatans were going to be my life's work, and I deliberately chose a scholar to work with who had made the same choice, rather than going from one specialty to a second, to a third, to a fourth, and jumping around. I've not jumped around. And I'm very glad I chose the path I did. So frankly, are the tribes I still work with. Thank you very much.
Okay, next I would like to introduce Patricia Wright, who is the Superintendent of Public Instruction at the Department of Education here in Virginia. She will be presenting the Thomas Jefferson Medal for Outstanding Contributions to Natural Science Education.
Good evening. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here this evening with one of my colleagues in the natural sciences. The next time I'm in the Patrick Henry building, I expect to see the plaque along with the bear that's in your office. I try to steer away from the secretary's office when I go to the Secretary of Ed's office. It's pretty scary down on that wing. I'm often asked why I would travel 3.5 hours to make a 3-minute presentation, to which I always respond, I will travel anywhere to recognize an excellent teacher, because I don't think we do enough to recognize our educators. I'm a mathematician by trade, and so it's a special honor that I get to recognize an excellent science educator, because I do have a passion for STEM education. I think a lot of times we use STEM as a new word in our vocabulary, when really it's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, distinct fields, distinct disciplines that all blend together to help children make sense of the world. It is my honor to present the Thomas Jefferson Medal for Outstanding Contributions to Natural Science Education to an outstanding middle school science teacher, Mrs. Ann Moore. Now I want to tell you a little bit about Mrs. Moore without reading her vita and trying to be too repetitive. But you know, when I read the nomination from a parent, and Ann taught 3 children of this parent. That's quite a testament to have the parent still nominate the teacher after 3 children. And still have one. Glowing recommendations, a glowing nomination. And what came out loudly and clearly from the letter of nomination is the passion that this teacher has. A passion for education, a passion for teaching, a passion for working with young people. And if any of you work with middle school students, you will know it takes a very special passion to work with middle school students. She is a teacher at Grovius Middle School in Chesterfield County. She teaches gifted students, but has taught the full range. Ann has traveled the world. I understand that New Zealand was one of your hops. I want to figure out how I get on that hop. She's traveled the world, and with each travel, she has come back to her middle school classrooms, shared her experiences, and turned her experiences into exciting lesson plans, and helped her colleagues develop curriculum. And I read about her adventures, her canoe trips with middle school students. That is risk management. We were talking about risk management a little bit earlier this evening at the social with canoe trips and lots of hands-on activities. But you know, in the science education world, the science educators talk about minds-on, hands-on. It can't just be a lot of activity-based strategies. It must be engaging children in inquiry learning, and that is what Mrs. Moore does. She's worked extensively with faculty at Virginia Commonwealth University in designing programs and implementing programs. So it is my great pleasure to be here to recognize Mrs. Ann Moore for her amazing accomplishments. But she is still young yet. She's young in the profession. She comes from a fine pedigree of educators. And so the one thing that I would say to Ann is that don't lose your passion. Stay in the classroom, be a leader in the classroom. And when I give lectures on leadership, I always say that you lead from where you are. Leadership is not about a title. Oftentimes we think you have to become an administrator to be a leader. You do not. We need more teacher leaders. We need leadership in the classroom because every day you lead students and you lead with passion. So please continue to do what you're doing, and you know, I have full confidence that STEM education in Virginia will continue to lead the nation. So at this time, I'd like to present the Thomas Jefferson Medal for Outstanding Contributions to Natural Science Education to an amazing science educator, Ann Moore.
I do what I love. I love to teach. I love to be with children. And yes, even middle schoolers. And so far, I have not lost any of them on canoe trips, although I have threatened to leave a few behind. They have all come back. I have a wonderful relationship with Virginia Commonwealth University where we teach about a little warbler called the prothonotary warbler. And my students, I think at times think if I say something else about a bird, they're going to get up and walk out. But this program that we have developed has been a wonderful stepping stone for students to really be out in the environment and to learn about the natural world. And I guess in closing, what I will say is, when I teach, I learn, and when I learn, I become a better teacher. So I love teaching, and thank you so much.
Congratulations, Ann. And just incidentally, the prothonotary, I think, is my favorite North American bird. It's a beautiful creature, so that just warms my heart. Seriously. All right. I would now like to introduce Dr. Noel Boaz. Dr. Boaz is currently director of the Integrated Centers for Science and Medicine. And actually, a very nice connection here, he is the founding director of the Virginia Museum of Natural History. So he has a long history himself down there in Martinsville. He's going to be presenting the William Barton Rogers Portrait Award. Noel?
Well, good evening. It's a very pleasant duty I have tonight to be presenting the William Barton Rogers Award. I wanted to say a few things. I haven't been back in Blacksburg since about the time these awards started. And it's been a long time ago, but I wanted to say, and although I have, as Mr. Gremley does as well, ties all this started, and to be giving these awards to these very deserving people tonight. Let me remind you what the Virginia Museum of Natural History was founded to do. There is a one-liner in the Code of Virginia, which I've always been very proud of, because we had to get that through the General Assembly, and it's nice to remember that not one single member of that august body, the Virginia General Assembly, voted against this institution. And that one-liner is that the Virginia Museum of Natural History researches and educates how man and the earth have evolved. And that's it. And it goes on. And there are other descriptors about what the museum does. It's education, it's research in all sorts of different areas. It's a natural science. But what is very heartening to me tonight, as having been trained originally in anthropology, albeit a different version, a different subdiscipline than Dr. Roundtree, is that we are both recognizing that input of the human to the natural sciences, with both the award to her and to the William Barton Rogers Award that we are going to be presenting tonight in the area of medicine, because medicine is natural science in a way that's made relevant to human beings. So that, I think, is an important thing to keep in mind, and I think it's very much in keeping with what the museum was originally about, and it's in a sense sort of high time that people who work on human beings are bringing that into the realm of the natural sciences. So, having said that, who is William Barton Rogers? We've heard about Thomas Jefferson, and the history of the sloth is interesting, but of course, Jefferson probably wouldn't have been interested in it if he thought it was a sloth, because sloths are not really nice animals. He thought it was a large carnivorous creature that had large claws. And it was only a little bit later that some of the comparative anatomy came in and showed that it was really a sloth, but a little bigger. In any event, he was the first paleontologist and the first foray into that field in North America. William Barton Rogers was a contemporary, a later contemporary of Jefferson, with ties to the Northeast. He was married to a woman from Boston, but he was the first geologist, first state geologist of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and was a professor at William and Mary, but became the first state geologist. He was responsible for researching all the geological outcrops in Virginia and doing the first Virginia state geological map. Among other things, he got his name up on the Brooks Museum of Natural History at the University of Virginia. As one of the only Virginians, I think the only Virginian whose name is engraved on that building. And he also had the highest mountain in Virginia named after him. But he wanted to do a museum. He failed. So we felt very successful having succeeded where somebody as eminent as William Barton Rogers had failed. But he then also wanted to do an educational institution. His ideas fell on sort of a sterile ground in Virginia. And so he went north to Boston and established a small institution there that grew substantially, and it's now known as MIT. And so that's who William Barton Rogers is. So he was a natural scientist, but interestingly, the award tonight is going to an organization that has been very supportive of the Natural History Museum in Martinsville. It deals with